What's up, buttheads? It's your good old pal EmptyHero, and today, because I have tired of this gelatinous mound of humanoid disappointments, constant barrage of woe is me, I have the same personality defects as a 13-year-old girl. Tell me that I'm pretty or I'll kill myself right now! Posts on Twitter. We're going to discuss everyone's favorite anthropomorphized ham and beanbag chair demolition expert, Boogie2988, whose name I can only assume is a combination of his favorite finger food and body mass index. Allow me to preface this expedition into the mouth of mayonnaise by plainly stating that I have no qualms with the earth-flattening community. Theirs is a noble, fudge-slathered race, and like them for any great length of time, I will not stand for any mistreatment of them based on such superficial qualities as their protozoan propensity to absorb smaller creatures directly into their outer carapace when threatened, affinity for leaving the occasional snail trail of 5-alarm chili and Mountain Dew shots on the floor of the colostomy bag aisle of their local Walmart, and inability to consume a simple cream puff without first making the sweetest of loves to it, thereby transforming a lowly roly-poly cannoli into an unholy cum-holy stromboli. In fact, since Emperor God King Donald Trump has yet to make good on his promise of fixing this gay oath by making anime real, the closest I can currently come to enacting a menage a trois with my waifu's Ryoko Hakubi and that elegant older woman I've admired on the Quaker Oat box ever since my youth is by fucking a fat girl with the lights turned off, placing an anime wig on either of her supple, gravy-dolloped shoulders, and slapping her hands away from the meatball sub I promised to reward her with after coitus, but will, of course, ultimately run off with to eat myself the moment I've thoroughly infected her deepest, dankest layers of front butt with my own special blend of 11 herbs and spices. In fact, I would go so far as to say that we, as a society, require these robust and rotund cosplayers of plums nearly as bad as their undersides require the occasional barnacle scraping. Why, if not for the seams of their labyrinthian folds, granting a safe haven for tired flies to land on, their vigilant regulation of that pesky Big Mac population which threatens to overtake us at any second, or their selfless creation of shadows by sitting on black people when no one else is looking, the American dream as we know it would collapse, harder than a chair sat on by our putridly plump bipedal lump, Boogie2988. Now, I am not going to belittle Boogie for his wife hopping on Black Wang faster than a one-legged Chinese minstrel show performer fetishist, his long-term struggles with PTSD, perhaps in this case more accurately referred to as his pie-tasting stomach disorder, or due to the striking resemblance between Boogie's voluptuous teeth, replete with cellulite, and two entire Blob Kellys. Since Boogie is just so rapaciously Rubenesque, I'd require the compactive power of a quantum singularity like a black hole, a negative mass cosmic string, or perhaps a slightly larger clone of Boogie to sit on the original in order to actually belittle him. Instead, the crux of my argument, or the Reese's Pieces of my thesis, as Boogie himself might say between mouthfuls of melted butter, rests, like Boogie on a hydraulically reinforced rhinoceros bed, in our eldritchian imbibers of invertebrates and the souls of sinners alike, constant complaining of his declining viewership, despite the fact that his content is so phoned in that Boogie might as well start uploading his videos via a 4KB landline modem. While spoon-feeding content summarized from 4chan threads and Kotaku articles to entry-level retards is nothing new, and in a way it's almost fitting for a disgusting blob of shit like Boogie to digest other people's content, then transmogrify it into useless flab. I am forced to wonder, whom is actually stupid enough to drag their eyes across this meritless drivel? Now, I don't want anyone thinking that I'm picking on Boogie just because he's so dummy thick you could boil his cummy dick like a pathetically small bouillon cube in order to create hot blubber soup, because our elegantly elephantine enslaver of pastries and creams, with a stomach so elastic that he gastric bypassed it, is not the only one. Whether it's some kissless palm humper who raves about socialists degrading the once venerated picture book industry he's been clinging to for decades, because he's far too busy organizing his Ben 10 hentai folder by specific alien forms to read something that doesn't come with coupons for sea monkeys on the last page, or a disgusting body fungus laden leather fetishist who's so rail thin that he looks like he just drank from the wrong cup at the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, who uploads zero effort reactionary political videos 10 times a day in a doomed effort to raise enough money to purchase a pressure washer so that he can finally spritz some of that caked on Cowper's caviar from his crusty cubby hole, or your basic big-tittied sheath for her father's fingers / ironic man-on-can ham slam. There will always be thousands of talentless bottom feeders ready to hastily summarize their particular version of the daily hate while perched atop the brown spot on the corner of their race car bed, ready to strike the moment their mummy leaves the house for work, with a tear in her eye, hoping that today will finally be the day that her child attains a real job, or, at the very least, stops using her hair scrunchies as cock rings and blowing loads on that one pair of high heels she leaves out by her closet door in hopes that he'll take the low-hanging fruit and leave her expensive pumps alone. And for fuck's sake, Grandma, it was one fucking time, let it go already. Everyone seems to wait in anticipation for their boy to dish out the hot takes on the latest happenings, unaware that they're subconsciously longing for someone they trust to interpret the multifaceted data, then provide them with a simplified, dumbed-down context because they're too intellectually and emotionally stunted to form their own opinions. While this sort of worship was once reserved for, I don't know, goddamn fucking baby Jesus, pretty much anyone who zings a blue-haired Aspergermeister on Twitter a couple of times becomes elevated to this deity status these days. Though I want you all to understand that I appreciate the hardships of being Boogie, a man so tortured by his cravings that he turned his teeth to mush by smoking both crystal meth and crystal light, and whose unquenchable thirst for sustenance caused him to store his used colostomy bags in a pot to serve up as butt-holy raviolis later. And I want you to know, personally, Boogie, you impotent poser with a plethora of plentiful punch, that even though you disgust each and every one of my senses, EmptyHero feels your pain. I see the cellulite in your eyes, hear the melancholy whispers of your folds, your belly that's absorbed a million pies, girl, and the semi-sentient gravy in your butthole. When you have tits like a bitch, a flabby bitch, feed me some milk from your delicious tits, Boogie, my boy. Be a good girl if you want. Feed me the milk from your gut. From your gut, from your gut. Feed me the milk from your gut. Now, before this video concludes, allow me to leave you all with an uplifting, life-affirming joke. Boogie2988 goes to his doctor and says, "Hey doc, remember when you told me I'd have better sex if I held and cum for a week? Well, I'm sorry, but I have just been so depressed lately and unable to cope with the changes occurring both in my life and within my body, perhaps, doc, most importantly, within my soul. I lay awake at night wondering if the pains in my chest arise from the absence of my beloved bride, never to return or be replaced. Or is it because my body just can't stand the strain I've put it through with all these elective surgeries and my decades of self-abuse? Well, all that being considered, doc, when it comes to my cums, I just could not hold them in." And the doctor says, "Oh, Boogie2988, did you give into your primal urges and masturbate? Is that why you failed to hold in your cum?" And Boogie2988 replied, No, doctor, I couldn't hold in the cum because I farted. Well, that's it for today's video. If you liked it, you can utilize the links provided in the description and top pinned comment of the video you're watching right now, baby, to join my Discord where a cluster fart of drooling shoe sniffers await you. Toss a buck at me on Patreon for the right to vote on which subject I'll make my next video about, much as my current Patreons made this okay video possible. Instead of the 20-minute film of me knocking over stacks of pogs with my erect penis that I wanted to do instead, check out one of my original ebooks, paperbacks, or audiobooks on Amazon, iTunes, or Audible if you want to know what a really polished EmptyHero project looks like. Or you can do none of those things and fish for compliments from these statistical outliers who are somehow both fatter and more pathetic than you, and mistakenly believe that you cutting out 90% of your stomach to stop you from eating yourself to death is inspirational, when it's basically the equivalent of spackling your booty hole shut to keep your grandson from snaking his fingers up into it while you sleep and stealing all your half-digested pickled pig's feet for himself to chew on. And god damn it, Grandma, it was one time! Let it go already! And as always, thanks for coming out. God bless your black little hearts. Remember to brush your teeth lest they start looking like delicious buttery popcorn, and goodbye!